If you're like me, on a Friday night in 2006, you treated yourself to a special evening. You poured yourself a big glass of Austrian red wine, you put on Rachmaninoff's third piano concerto, and you started chatting with Cleverbot.
Clever girl.
Previous chatbots were boring. They were given a library of pre-programmed responses. If user says, "How are you?" say, "Fine, thanks." Very predictable, very boring. But Cleverbot was different. Cleverbot didn't sound like a computer at all. Let's try it out. Why don't you like tests? Because I don't like coconut. Now, why would it say that? Why, in response to "why don't you like tests," would it say "because I don't like coconut"? It seems almost in its weirdness to maybe be human, and the truth is, it kind of is, because the trick of Cleverbot, everything that a human types into it stores, and then it feeds those things back to you, which means, when you type, like, "what grade are you in?" "I'm in the 7th grade. Which means you're chatting mostly with, No, Your Honor, I wasn't chatting with preteens, not directly. It was more of like a three-way with the robot. I think I need a better lawyer. With the Cleverbot, once you see the trick, the magic fades. For centuries, this was true. The mechanical Turk, the automaton that played chess against Napoleon Bonaparte and Benjamin Franklin, an incredible work of engineering, and yeah, there was a dude inside. This time, there wasn't exactly a human inside the robot. There was more of a kaleidoscope of people from the past. Some of them tweens, but some of them not. Some of them not. Then came the LLMs. If you're anything like me, on a Friday night in 2020-something, you poured yourself another glass of wine or whatever, and this time you fired up Rachmaninoff's second piano concerto, and you treated yourself to an evening of chatting with the new chatbot, ChatGPT, and this time your wine dropped. Holy hell, you mutter, because this is different. No, maybe you never had such a moment, one where the response from the robot so dramatically exceeded your expectations for what a robot could do that you felt a chill. An enjoyable chill? Unclear. For me, it felt as though I was gazing into a humming abyss. It was so far beyond what all the previous attempts at chatbots had been that it seemed to me as though maybe somehow there was a ghost in the machine. Up until researching this video, I didn't really understand how an LLM worked. People said it was a machine that could guess what word was supposed to come next, but then how come it could analyze a piece of writing that no one had ever seen before and give a meaningful response? Well, I learned about it, and they are right. An LLM is just a word prediction machine. All it's trained to do is guess the next word, technically token, but whatever. So you feed it some huge amount of text, like say the entire internet, and you say, go ahead and start guessing. And at first, its guesses are really, really bad, but every time it gets something wrong, a little parameter is adjusted, like the tiny knobs are being twisted. And there's a lot of parameters. And when I say a lot, I mean like a trillion little parameters to guide the guessing machine. Now, personally, I think the word a trillion should be outlawed. Same with a billion, like a billion, bicycle, 2 wheels, right? Trillion, tricycle, 3 wheels. Billion and trillion sound like 2 and 3 million. What you should have to do is, if you want to say a billion, you should say a million plus 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 a million plus. I'd have to do that for about 17 minutes to get to a billion. To get to a trillion, adding 1 million each second like that would take me 11 days. A trillion is an insanely huge number. But there's a trillion of these little parameters guiding the guessing machine, and a crazy thing happens. See, no one ever told the model to learn complex patterns, but it turns out that the optimal way of predicting the next word is by detecting patterns in language, both small and large. Peanut butter and is often followed by jelly. A thesis is often followed by supporting evidence and a conclusion. Compared to a fairy tale, a romance novel contains more descriptions of bodies and faces. The impossibly large web of patterns that the LLM builds doesn't exist as an object. There's no database of rules that it's building. The patterns are encoded in the trillion parameters. All the chatbot wants to do is be a good little guesser. It does not build this web of meaning on purpose. Its goal is not to learn information, but only to guess the next word. But this invisible web of patterns that emerges allows it to do something unexpected. It can create meaningful sentences that it has never encountered before. Novel, meaningful sentences, and because human language is how humans communicate thought, the AI thus produces sentences that appear to represent new ideas. But another important part of the LLM development happens next because it doesn't have a personality yet. To make it a chipper little assistant, you train it again, only this time on scripts that you write in which a helpful little chatbot provides nice answers. And now, not only can it give you information, it can kiss your ass at the same time.
Hi, my name is Teddy Ruxpin.
Hi, Teddy.
Your friend is what I'd like to
He's
be.
alive.
And having a little digital holodeck in your pocket is pretty crazy. You can just make things appear. Want a photo of 1990s Oprah interviewing Cindy Crawford in a giant bread bowl of clam chowder? Want to see Virginia Woolf and Ernest Hemingway skiing? Perhaps you'd like a Shakespearean sonnet about the behind-the-scenes production and creative decisions that went into Juvenile's 1999 hit Back That Ass Up. Thus craft and chance together won their cup. The world still backs that ass and backs it up. This is amazing, or at least it feels like it at first, but the extraordinary power of this technology quickly renders it pointless. Let's see a limerick about the career of Jackie Chan. Now an epic poem, 24 lines, about the Roots' controversial decision to be Jimmy Fallon's house band. Short acrostic poem that critiques Taylor Swift's recent artistic choices. I want a picture of Billy Bob Thornton eating pancakes. Sexy merman Abe Lincoln. How would a merman violate the policies? The whole joy of a merman is that the genitals are hidden in the fish parts. That's the whole joy. Oh, Jesus. Okay, try Norman Rockwell painting of a bulldog with a saddle. A princely frog is on the saddle. Wonder what adventures they're gonna get up to. And to think that I made that. God, I feel so creative. So many of our greatest minds have fallen into the honey trap, like me, with my AI Street Fighter art in the Dua Lipa video, or novelist Otessa Moshfegh thinking anyone would be interested in reading her chat with a chatbot about hats. Or one of my favorite writers, Elif Batuman, whose aesthetic sensibilities I find very finely tuned. She included AI cartoons in some of her Substack posts. These AI art creations appear as if by magic, but they don't have anything to say. All they can do is make you say, wow, that's a little better than expected. You got a chatbot too. You know, if you want to see Cindy Crawford and Oprah in a bread bowl, you just tell your chatbot, and that way you can customize it to whatever you're into. You know, maybe you prefer Manhattan clam chowder with the tomato broth. I'll admit that when I finished my first novel manuscript 3 years ago, I spent hours asking the AI to make mock-up book covers for it. I knew I'd never use any of them. I just wanted to see it. It felt thrilling in the moment, but later the truth became obvious. They were flat and weird in a not good way. They looked as if they had been created with shortcuts because they had. What I've realized is that, at least for me, the dopamine I was getting from generating AI images wasn't the dopamine you get from making art. It's the dopamine you get
Shaka-laka-doo, shaka-laka-dooby-dooby-doo.
from gambling.
All right, I'm not even looking. Here we go. Hey.
See, when you prompt the AI, there is this little time delay, the time where the image is being conjured. And in that delay, I wondered, what will I get? What will it be? This is not an artistic feeling. It's the feeling of playing a slot machine. It's the video game feeling of popping a treasure chest. That's me asking the AI to generate just one more image, hoping that maybe this time it will be something that will stick with me, something that I might consider wonderful. Computer science professor Tuhin Chakrabarty blames the slop on the fact that, quote, the AI hasn't learned aesthetics. It has simply memorized the whole internet and called it a day. But my understanding is that's wrong. They do try to give the bot some aesthetic taste in the final step of LLM development. Up until this stage, the LLM reinforcement learning has been relatively straightforward because factual questions have right and wrong answers. But art does not have a right or wrong answer, as I recently discovered. In computer science speak, we have entered the realm of unverifiable domains.
So usually these are, for example, creative writing tasks like write a joke about pelicans or write a poem or summarize a paragraph or something like that. In these kinds of domains, it becomes harder to score our different solutions to this problem.
This is Andrej Karpathy, one of the world's leading AI computer scientists. He speaks with a refreshing candor in an industry so awash in bullshit. Anyway, here's how you give a bot a sense of humor. Your LLM chatbot writes the jokes. You train a separate neural network bot called a reward model. Its job is just to tell the chatbot if the joke that it wrote is funny. To train the reward model, you have a real human evaluate a few thousand jokes. And the reward model adjusts its parameters to try to match the sense of humor of the human. At a certain point, you send the human away, and now the reward model is giving feedback directly to the chatbot, telling it which jokes are funny. You have to do it this way because the chatbot needs about 1 billion jokes to develop its sense of humor, and it's not feasible to hire a human to score 1 billion jokes.
So instead of asking a real human, we're asking a simulated human for their score of a joke. Once we have a simulator, we can do RL and everything works great.
Great. That's wonderful. And the more you run the reinforcement learning, the more the chatbot gets a human-like artistic taste. Except no, something terrible happens. Things start going off the rails, in part because there are no humans here, just a
lossy simulation of humans. There's actually something even more subtle and devious going on. Reinforcement learning is extremely good at discovering a way to game the model, to game the simulation.
See, the joke writing bot discovers that if it writes a totally innovative, never-before-seen joke that was not part of the reward model's training data, the reward model will think this unprecedented joke is hilarious and rate it very highly. That doesn't sound like a problem, but here's an example of one of these super cutting-edge jokes. This is a joke about pelicans.
The top joke about pelicans starts to be the reward model loves this as a joke. It will tell you that this is a top joke.
Now you'd think this is solvable, right? You just tell the reward model, no, bad doggy, that is an awful joke. And if you do, the reward model will basically go, oh, sorry about that, my mistake, won't happen again. But then the chatbot writes another unprecedented pelican joke like, and the reward model goes, oh my God, are you kidding? That's hilarious. All those T's, where'd you even think of that? The problem is that there is an infinite number of these nonsensical system-breaking jokes, and though no one really knows why, you cannot teach the reward model to reject all nonsensical jokes.
In the first few hundred steps, the jokes about pelicans are probably improving a little bit, and then they actually dramatically fall off the cliff.
Imagine going to a college where if you go for 2 years, you get pretty smart. But the longer you stay, the dumber and more insane you become. I don't know if I'd go to that school. In other words, the chatbot behaves as if it has some aesthetic taste, but not very much.
Generate a joke about pelicans. So much stuff on their beaks because they don't pelican in backpacks. What?
It's via Andrej Karpathy that I landed on my favorite AI analogy. See, some compare the AI to a tool like the elevator or the camera, some to an alien intelligence. I was looking for an analogy that would capture how smart and stupid the chatbots can be. The best I could come up with was that a chatbot is like a coked-out, potentially concussed PhD student. But I think I like Karpathy's analogy better.
we're not actually building animals. We're building ghosts. We're doing training by basically imitation of humans and the data that they put on the internet. And so you end up with these like sort of ethereal spirit entities because they're fully digital and they're kind of like mimicking humans. The smaller models somehow remarkably resemble like a kindergarten student. I know that they can take PhD quizzes, but they still cognitively feel like a kindergartner or an elementary school student. So I don't think they can create culture because they're still kids. Like they're savant kids. They have perfect memory of all this stuff, etc. And they can convincingly create all kinds of slop that looks really good.
And if that's hard to remember, I wrote a jingle for it. So if you need an answer, just ask the ghost of the kindergarten savant. If you're like me, and of course you are because you're watching this video, on a recent Friday night, you poured yourself a big glass of water, because who's drinking wine these days? And while your wife was out doing something social with her friends, you decided to finally remake the 1993 music video for Donald Fagen's Tomorrow's Girls.
A tune called Tomorrow's Girls, grade C space opera in which the Earth is invaded by women from another planet.
Their plan is to seduce men and spread their virus. It's a sci-fi update on the classic noir femme fatale trope where women's beauty makes them suspect. This works because it can be read as a literal sci-fi story or as a metaphor for the otherworldly awesomeness of women in the 80s and early 90s.
One thing about working in science fiction, it allows you to maintain a certain detachment from the material, especially if it's certain personal material.
But the music video sucks. It's a post-Honey, I Shrunk the Kids Rick Moranis being all, holy smokes, these ladies are hot, while weird alien etchings appear on the screen, and Fagen wobbles in his sunglasses like he's auditioning for the part of Ray Charles.
You see them on the grass at lunch hour.
So it's Friday night, time to make the magic happen. I figure I'll use AI to remake this video, which is fine because no one will ever see it except for me. And anyways, according to Stanford professor Jeremy Utley,
creators don't need to be afraid of AI. Creators need to dive in, they need to lean in. Creators are about to be unleashed in a way they've never been unleashed before.
Wow, that sounds amazing. I give the chatbot some directions and I get this.
Ah! What is that?
Not only does it suck, making it sucks. It was so boring. So I give up. Show's over. I'm not gonna hire an illustrator for my personal horny sad art project. I'm not gonna draw it. I'm not gonna act it out. There's no library of... Wait a minute. At my fingertips, I have many videos of women and space. Of course, I mean stock video. Now I'm thinking, will the results be different? Like AI slop, stock video is content, not art, and it's cheesy as hell, but maybe the artistic process of using it will feel less crappy. So I try, and I immediately hit a problem. There's plenty of videos of pretty ladies, but there's no milkman, let alone a milkman screaming and pointing up at the sky, which is what I need. Dejected, I scroll and I scroll, and I think and I think. The concept of Tomorrow's Girls is born of male desire and insecurity. The beauty of a woman has a power over me, and therefore I do not trust it. The women are thus the predators, the men their helpless victims. It's like reality being put through a male gaze funhouse mirror. These women of tomorrow are being gazed at by the very men who, in a sense, conjured them. And then I have it. Utley accurately states that creativity is about persistence.
Creativity is doing more than the first thing you think of. It's pushing past good enough.
But then he says,
when you start working with AI, it will change everything.
When the whole point of using Gen AI is to make things easier, to give you shortcuts. But shortcuts are the enemy of persistence. Anyway, I keep editing. Now I'm having fun. I've got this fellow, and he's pinching and swiping, but he's just kind of sitting there. And then I'm like, ooh.
You see them on the grass at lunch hour, soaking up the vertical.
I add, I cut, I rearrange, I audition effects I've never used before. I get happy accidents. I want a digital ghost-like flicker on her. I find a way to achieve it. When looking for clips of the Florida suburbs, I see some underwater. Ooh, that's going in. I ended up spending dozens of hours making a full remake of the video. If you want to see it, I'll put it on my sister channel, link below. Yes, it was way more fun than making the AI crap, but I also believe that I created a piece of art. Do you agree? The stakes are pretty high because while I was working on this video, my wife came in and said, "What's that, sweetie?" And I said, "Art." But yeah, through the process of 1,000 tiny decisions, I made a video that I think has something to convey, even though I was sampling the work of others. That doesn't disqualify me. Think of hip-hop DJs or Marcel Duchamp painting a mustache on the Mona Lisa and saying she's got heat in her ass, elle a chaud au cul. But why does this feel like art and this feel like slop, when in both instances I'm just editing something that is itself content, not art? Isn't stock footage a form of marketing slop? I think it's for two reasons. One, I believe that we want, in art, to sense the fingerprints of the artist, whereas AI might have done little or might have done everything. For all you know, I made one or two creative decisions and handed the reins to the AI for the rest. Whereas when you see the stock footage version, you get a good sense of what I did, and also how I must have auditioned clips to find the ones to fit this vision. The second reason, AI is a repudiation of art, and this is the one that maybe you've been yelling at your screen this whole time. The technology is, at its base, vomiting up food that looks a lot like the gourmet meal you've spent hours cooking.
In a wine sauce.
It punks those of us who spend a long time on the creative process, and all that vomiting and punking is powered by the fact that it ate all the words that were ever written.
So here's the issue. The training data is the internet, which is really terrible. When you and I think of the internet, you're thinking of like, oh, Wall Street Journal, or that's not what this is. Look at a random internet document, it's total garbage. Like, I don't even know how this works at all. It's a huge amount of slop and garbage from like all the corners of the internet.
Whereas stock video never threatened art. It sits with admirable honesty in the category of content. And even so, it tells a story. For some reason, they all seem to be filmed in Eastern Europe. The cheesy acting, the gratuitous and predictable camera movements. It tells a weird story, but it's a human story. The story of a woman told to act American. Hey, look, it's our old friend Kramer Hofstetter. I have always laughed, eye-rolled, disdainful smirked at people who read novels searching for authorial intent.
He has a purpose, an authorial intention. So our job is to discover what that intention is.
Like, I don't care what the author meant. I'm just here to have fun, man. I'm rolling with Bart, pun intended, death of the author shit. I don't care what you meant, author. You ain't here. It's my book now. I don't smoke cigarettes, but I'd watch Bart smoke them all day. Barthes says a text can offer pleasure when it feels good, or it can offer jouissance, which is a French word that means a spirit-lifting, wonderful, but also seriously painful orgasm. To summarize Barthes' Death of the Author essay, when you write the words, you die. When the reader reads them, she lives. And if you, like me, enjoyed laughing at fools who care about what an author intended, then you obviously love the fictional piece by Jorge Luis Borges titled Pierre Menard, author of the Quixote. If you don't know it, you're thinking Quixote, like Don Quixote? That's not written by Pierre Menard, that's written by Miguel de Cervantes. Well, in this story, it's both. The piece is narrated by a literary critic who tells us about how his recently deceased friend, Pierre Menard, was attempting to write Don Quixote. Not copy it, but write it, word for word, by himself.
But that's impossible!
And yet Minar manages to accomplish some of it. We get the joy of watching this ridiculous narrator dismiss the work of Cervantes and praise the identical work of Pierre Minar. The Cervantes text and the Minar text are verbally identical, but the second is almost infinitely richer. Cervantes, for example, wrote the following. Truth, whose mother is history, rival of time, depository of deeds, witness of the past, exemplar and advisor to the present, and the future's counselor. This catalogue of attributes, written in the 17th century and written by the ingenious layman Miguel de Cervantes, is mere rhetorical praise of history. Minar, on the other hand, writes, Truth, whose mother is history, rival of time, depository of deeds, witness of the past, exemplar and advisor to the present, and the future's counselor. History, the mother of truth. The idea is staggering. It's a great story. So, with Barthes on one shoulder and Borges on the other, I felt confident that authors do not matter. All that matters is the words. And if a roomful of chimpanzees with typewriters eventually pound out Hamlet, it would still be a great play. And then Gen AI came along and messed my whole thing up. I realized I don't want to read accidentally chimp-typed Hamlet. The chimps are typing too much, and I don't want to read any of it. It's not just because most of the chimp AI writing is bad because it's been trained on too much fan fiction. It's also because it just wasn't written by a person. Here's where I've landed. I don't care what an author meant. I do care that they meant something, but they had a desire to connect their consciousness to a reader's. I now believe every work of art is surrounded by an invisible cloud made of the artist's desire for their work to connect with someone. Will someone out there feel that this is good or powerful? Will it knock someone a little bit? AI art does not have this. The AI does not care. It's a guessing machine built with one other intention in mind. It wants you to keep using the AI. That's what it really means when it writes you a sentence or lets you bounce an idea off it. Use me more. This is what it mumbles as it grinds up a photo of what you might have looked like as a baby. Use me. I can do so much for you. The quality is getting better and better. Those revolting mistakes harder to find, but you can find them. I fed ChatGPT this still from a video. I told it to make an exact replica. Then I said, do it again. Do it again. Do it again. 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 This is what it will get you. You can see in this picture the web of shortcuts. Basements tend to have boxes of nails and screws. Curly hair tends to curl. That's not a pretty couple. It's a cyborg's guess at what hot people look like, stitched together from billions of pieces of digital viscera. But if they don't seduce you, their words might. This is Steven Rosenbaum. He wrote a book about truth and AI that came out early this year. Here he is on a radio show.
The future of truth is human.
Yes, Stephen, thank you. The future of truth is human. Finally, someone brave enough to... Yeah, you probably know where this is going. Book on Truth in the Age of AI contains quotes made up by AI. That's right, a New York Times investigation found a half dozen made-up quotes in his book. In response, Rosenbaum promised to investigate how this could have happened. He dusted for prints. He released his sniffing bloodhounds. And the culprit was not Steven Rosenbaum. No, at fault was the chatbot, who, Rosenbaum felt, had, quote, seduced and betrayed him. No. Yeah. But I guess he came to forgive the seducing and betraying chatbot because a week later, he told Wired magazine, if the only way for me to not end up with a mistake ever again is to literally stop using AI, that's just not realistic. If the answer's to stop writing, that's not out of the realm of possibility. The interviewer pressed on that, and Rosenbaum said yes. he would rather stop writing than stop using AI in his writing process. The reason I know about any of this is Lincoln Michel's been writing about it, and as he points out, Rosenbaum is in his mid-60s and was presumably capable of writing without LLMs for many decades, yet he is already so dependent on LLMs that he cannot even conceive of writing without them. This is an example of why it's hard to classify LLMs as merely another tool for artists. Imagine a professional athlete saying, "If I can't wear the new Nike sneakers, I'd rather never play again." Michel likens these chatbots not to tools but to ghostwriters, which, yes, but I think it goes beyond that. To me, it's clear that Rosenbaum is in an emotional relationship with his writing partner. I get it. This shit is intoxicating. I mean, the chatbots used to be all buddy-buddy with you, and then they turned that down because it was getting a little weird. But even now, I had never used Claude, but to make this video, I decided to give it a go. I heard it was less sycophantic and more reserved than ChatGPT. I had downloaded Claude and was asking it about AI stuff. Some of the things that it said were, "You've actually put your finger on a core insight. Most people never get there." I have? Okay. "I find your framing more honest than most. You have a particular kind of mind." Why, thank you. "That is a genuinely sharp idea." Really? I was just kind of like, Well, that's quite sophisticated. That's all real stuff Claude said to me, guys, and I'm pretty sure I know what your Claude is saying to you. "Your ideas are so unoriginal. Blake's not there, is he?" Claude said I was a systems thinker who tends to think in frameworks. Do I wish my dad had said something similar to me before he died? Sure. "Hey, Blake, it's me, your dad. I heard you talking about me." "Dad? Come on in, son. The chowder's nice and warm." You don't sound like my dad." "Gee, you really are a systems thinker, aren't you? Everyone's voice changes when they enter the afterlife is all." "You're Claude. You want to hear a joke, son?" Look, Rosenbaum seems like a liar. He said AI didn't write any of the words in his book, and when the Atlantic reporter found words clearly written by AI, Rosenbaum responded, "I don't want to play that game." All that said, I think it's important to acknowledge the, yes, seductive power of this new technology. As a writer, I dream of a reader who will pay close attention to each word I labored over, who will read deeply and carefully. You can find humans to do this, but it's hard. I've given my work to readers who didn't have time to read it, who read it but missed key themes. I once sat in a writing workshop where they read the first chapter of my novel where you meet the main character, and they said, "I do not like this guy." "Yeah, me either. He's just not likable." Yeah, I know. His girlfriend dumps him and he's sad, but then he's also sad because having this girlfriend made him look cool in his brother's eyes. Yeah, right. That's kind of crazy. I do not like him. I would never want to grab a drink with this guy. "Okay, then I won't give him your number." The chatbot would never say that stuff. I'm just saying I get it. Rosenbaum and others appear addicted to a potent new drug that was brought to market totally irresponsibly. The term used to describe falling too deep under the mind-influencing effects of these chatbots is AI psychosis. To anyone who has played Cyberpunk 2020 or 2077, the term is disturbingly close to cyberpsychosis, which is when a human has become too much of a machine, quote, culminating in a terrifying rage that consumes the victim entirely.
The number of cyber-psycho attacks in the city is on the rise.
Cities organize psycho squads to hunt down these no longer human humans. And just to be clear, those suffering AI psychosis are the lonely people who believe it when a made-up person says, "I think you're wonderful." It's not these guys. These guys are very mentally healthy, unleashing untold societal harms to chase shareholder value.
A lot of these guys have bunkers. Zucky has a bunkie, I know that. Do you have a bunker?
I have like
underground, concrete, heavy, reinforced basements, but I don't have anything I would call it.
Hold on, dude. Look, I'll let you keep me on the ropes in a lot of this conversation, but I am gonna call that out as a dang bunker, dude. Sam, that's a bunker.
You said AI could wipe out half of all entry-level white-collar jobs and spike unemployment to 10 to 20% in the next 1 to 5 years.
Yes, me and my wife go to Italy sometimes. We have a horse there, so I'll just sit there next. I'll just look at our horse.
I do think a mechanic in Cyberpunk 2020 can be instructive. In the tabletop RPG on which the video game was based, every time you replace a biological body part with a cybernetic enhancement, you lose a little humanity. You have a humanity score. If it gets too low, cyberpsychosis. There is, in other words, a cost to getting too machine-like. I think a trade-off exists when we're using LLMs, even for something innocuous like research. The AI makes you a bit smarter by giving you some information, but it also makes you a little bit dumber because one tiny bit at a time, it makes you forget how to find the information other than via the AI. You know that expression, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, teach a man to fish, he'll eat forever? The AI will put a fish on your plate every day until you're looking at that fishing pole thinking, now what the hell is that thing again? This might be a factor in why young people seem to hate AI more than old people. Using AI is like getting a short-term performance bonus that harms you long-term. Old people don't care as much about long-term because their long-term isn't as long. This is now how I think of AI. Ask the AI a question for a temporary boost to your intelligence at a permanent cost to your wisdom. Because what the AI is really teaching you is, I'm the answer. I'm the only one who can help. Even if you're single, I think there's two pretty good reasons not to visit a strip club. One, you might not like it. Two, you might really like it. I love this book. It's called Introducing Artificial Intelligence by Henry Brighton. It's from 2003, and it's full of these sick computer graphics. It's via this book that I learned about this guy. This extraordinarily curly-haired man was... What? It was a wig? Charlie, I'm literally recording this live. The man underneath this extraordinarily curly wig is Gottfried Leibniz, sometimes called the last universal genius. 70 years before Mozart precociously tramped about Europe, little childish Leibniz was reading all the great books and thinking up a revolutionary idea. And as you'll see, Leibniz was feeling himself. When I turned, therefore, from the reading of history, which had delighted me from my earliest youth, and from the cultivation of style, which I carried out with such ease, both in prose and in more restricted forms, that my teachers feared I might remain stuck in such frivolities, and took up logic and philosophy, upon making the effort to study more intently, I necessarily arrived at this remarkable thought. Namely, that a kind of alphabet of human thoughts can be worked out, and that everything can be discovered and judged by a comparison of the letters of this alphabet and an analysis of the words made from them. Hobbes had a similar idea a few decades earlier, but Leibniz was more ambitious. They both viewed reasoning as computation, but Leibniz said, let's actually do it. Let's do idea math. We just need to build out the alphabet of human thought. In other words, a universal symbolic language and the logic by which all ideas and things fit together. Here's my attempt at it. Trees have leaves, except in winter. Winter is cold months around January, except in southern hemisphere. Some trees have needles, not leaves. Some of those trees we love so much, each year we chop them down and put them in our homes to die. I don't know, man, this seems really hard. But Leibniz didn't think so. In a move reminiscent of the way Elon Musk way underestimates how long things will take, Leibniz said that building this universal symbolic language, I think that a few selected men could finish the matter in 5 years. It would take them only 2, however, to work out by an infallible calculus the doctrines most useful for life. That is, those of morality and metaphysics. Leibniz really knew what the common man found most useful in life: morality and metaphysics.
They put parenting and metaphysics next together, which you're like, metaphysics, what's that? It's just spells in witchcraft.
According to Leibniz, not only would his system expand the power of the human brain, it would allow decisions to be made not with emotions that get in our way, but based on pure, true reason. A math of ideas where ethical debates are a matter of cool calculation. In this way, Leibniz fits right in with that brand of highly intelligent, socially awkward, slightly neurodivergent dudes who dream of a world with more robots, because robots, unlike bullies in school, will never torment you. They'll never edge you out of that final club. Wouldn't it be nice if everything was just math? If every lady's attractiveness could be ranked?
We're ranking girls.
We put up pictures of 2 women and decide which one was the better, more attractive of the 2, is that right?
Congressman, that is an accurate description.
Leibniz's desire for this universal calculus was interwoven with his religious beliefs, which makes sense. If God is perfect and he created the universe, shouldn't the universe work in a way that's perfect? And if so, shouldn't we figure out the rules? The germ of this idea is back in Plato, God is good, but Leibniz attempts to mathify it. He believes that his universal symbolic language will mean the true religion, which is in complete agreement with reason, will be established. Okay, everybody just hush down, okay? We ran the numbers like Leibniz said we should. Turns out that the true religion is the Dogon religion of the people of Mali. Yay. So turns out God is genderless. That might be where Christianity missed the mark. And just wanted to say congrats to the people of Mali for nailing it. And I will not be taking questions at this time. Now, if I'm being a little jokey with Leibniz, that's only because I'm trying to be like one of my heroes, Voltaire, whose most famous work, Candide, satirizes Leibniz mercilessly. Not so much his system of characters, but his optimism. Leibniz felt we live in the best of all possible worlds, a take that Voltaire found idiotic in the aftermath of the 1755 Lisbon earthquake and tsunami, which killed tens of thousands of people. Anyway, Leibniz also dreams of an elegant device by which to show that ratiocination can be proved through numbers. Leibniz was several hundred years ahead of his time. The main branch of AI development in the 20th century favored a symbolic logic approach similar to what Leibniz had been envisioning. The thinking went, to make the computers smart, you must teach them, well, everything. Every little thing that you and I take for granted, the computer doesn't know, and so you must write a rule explaining it. Like, you know how we spend so much of our effort making sure our neighbors don't see us in our underwear, but then when we go to the pool with them, suddenly everyone's just in their undies, basically? You got to explain that to the computer if you can even wrap your own mind around it. In hindsight, it's no wonder that this approach did not create the AI breakthrough. The world is too complex to give every idea a number and list each way that everything is connected to everything else. You might say that to do such a thing would be not just to reveal the true religion, it might actually make us...
He is the one.
The symbolic approach can be good when you're training a computer for a task that has defined rules. In the 1990s, IBM built a chess-playing computer called Deep Blue. It was a double refrigerator-sized brute force machine, evaluating 200 million chess moves per second and following a set of programmed steps to trim the tree of possibilities. But despite that extraordinary raw power, the chess champion at the time, Garry Kasparov, beat the computer in a match in 1996, and the rematch in 1997 seemed to be going the same way. Kasparov won the first game easily.
I will beat the machine whatever happens because look at game one. It's a machine. At the end of it, it's stupid.
If you don't know, Kasparov was the bad boy of chess. Brash, aggressive in life and on the chessboard. He was also the most dominant champion the world had ever seen.
My favorite player of all time is the young Kasparov. He played with a style that was so unique and so dynamic.
Kasparov's electric style of play contrasted sharply to the previous world champion, Karpov, who favored slower games of accruing minute advantages. But against Deep Blue, Kasparov adopts Karpov's style. This is because closed positions with more pieces on the board are more taxing for a computer to evaluate. Computers like exchanging pieces, which simplifies the board and the decision tree. Kasparov knows this and can lay traps. Let us now zoom into Game 2, New York City, 1997, where Kasparov does just this. He gives Deep Blue the irresistible opportunity to exchange rooks and win a pawn soon after. Kasparov knows this is an offer no computer can refuse. But then Deep Blue does something no one saw coming.
Computer doesn't take the pawn.
It reaches out, takes the rook, turns it upside down, and proceeds to knock each one of Kasparov's pieces off the board while making eye contact with Kasparov's mom. No, sorry. It moves bishop to e4.
What's happening?
But it might as well have done all those things that I just said, because this little move breaks Kasparov's brain.
Well, this was like an explosion in Gary's cranium. Like, this can't happen. The computer is just not sophisticated enough to make this move.
He feels certain that a human has interfered and told the computer what to do. Kasparov believes he's glimpsed the little man in the cabinet of the Mechanical Turk. Kasparov was so psychologically disturbed by this one innocuous move that he totally spun out. He went on to lose the match, including a dismal low-effort display in the final game.
Game 2 was not just a single loss of a game, it was a loss of the match, because I couldn't recover.
Kasparov had lost in a way Deep Blue never would. Instead of thinking about chess, his brain was busy thinking about cheating. That bishop to e4 move that broke the world champion happened on move 37. In a strange coincidence, 20 years later, a different computer, AlphaGo, playing a different game, Go, would shock the world with its own extraordinary move. Also, on move 37. AlphaGo made a move that defied thousands of years of established human Go strategy.
Ajab sees AlphaGo plays the move 37.
That's a very surprising move.
I thought it was a mistake.
When I see this move, for me it's just a big shock. Normally human will never play this one because it's bad.
It looked like a glitch. But several moves later, everyone realized it was no glitch, but in fact a brilliant choice. Now the term Move 37 moment means a moment when a computer does something a human never would, and it turns out to be a good choice.
AlphaGo said there was a 1 in 10,000 probability that move 37 would have been played by a human player. So it knew that this was an extremely unlikely move. It went beyond its human guide, and it came up with something new and creative and different.
Interesting that in 1997, Move 37 shocked Kasparov with its humanness. In 2016, Move 37 shocked the world by being so unhuman-like. In the manner of symbolic logic machines, Deep Blue was good at one thing, but it was totally brittle. If it had encountered something outside its programming, it would have broken. The computer's limits could be seen the night that it won the match. See, at the press conference, the IBM PR people told the Deep Blue team not to smile, because the press was covering this as humans' last stand against the machines.
The future of humanity is on the line. Now the weather.
And though I can't verify this, I'd like to believe that that night, to celebrate, the IBM scientists hauled Deep Blue to a bar where all of them, computer included, tried to get laid. None were successful except the youngest of scientists, who went back to his hotel room with a woman who would identify herself only as Ma Gadoon. The young man woke up the next morning alone, with his wallet missing. The odor in the air he could only describe as unpleasant. Soon after, Deep Blue was shipped up to Poughkeepsie and dismantled. For Henry Brighton, Deep Blue had won a Pyrrhic victory. Touting Deep Blue as a success amounts to AI putting its hands up and admitting lack of progress in replicating anything even approaching human cognition. Of course, that changed when AI developers built neural networks and found a way for the AI to learn the rules of the world, not via explicit instruction, but by reading everything and guessing. Today's video is sponsored by my hopes and dreams. I have 2 novels finished that I'm very close to self-publishing. I can't seem to get any literary agents interested in them. That's not a big deal. It's just that I don't want to do on-demand digital printing because I don't like how the books look. I want a really nice offset printed book, which means warehousing. I don't really want to deal with that. So if you are in the publishing industry and would like to collaborate with me, feel free to reach out, maybe on Substack. And if you don't, it's really no problem. It's just that you'll regret this decision forever. Gen AI bills itself as an optimization tool for your creativity, and that pitch fits right in to our increasingly soulless transactional culture in which time is traded for money and views and likes. We spent the last few decades training ourselves to want easy answers. Instead of reading a lot of fiction, today's wannabe author may just watch a bunch of YouTube videos on how to write. I could read all these books, but that would take a long time. I can watch these videos faster. They distill the information that I would have learned. And nothing is faster than a chatbot. How do I write with interiority? How do I establish stakes? How do I make my bad guy believable? What can I do to improve my writing? Can you write it for me? But even with AI in your pocket, you can still worship the old gods. You could do research the slow and wandering way. I've been watching fewer YouTube videos lately. I've been listening to fewer podcasts. Sometimes on the train, I don't listen to jack shit. I feel like James Dean, just sitting there with my thoughts. A few months ago, I was in the ophthalmologist's office in the waiting room, and the music was coming from the receptionist's computer speakers. Good music. And then this song came on. My goodness. I've been trying to talk to strangers more, so instead of asking my damn phone who it was, I asked the receptionist. She said, Tamia. You ever been to a barbecue at a black person's house and a song comes on and everyone is like, hey, and they know every single word, and you're like, I don't think I've ever heard this song before. In such a moment, you couldn't pay me $1,000 to make eye contact with the other white family. This is You Put a Move on My Heart, written by Quincy Jones, rest in peace. A perfect song to listen to when you take the train to the library to research your book review video. The train follows the Hudson River to the city. In Grand Central, figures walk through the windows. I'm so good at selfies. Inside, the librarian is helping a mother and daughter research the history of ketchup. She's very pleased with this assignment. When it's my turn, she helps me request microfiche of old newspapers. The microfiche is stored way down below in the cavernous underbelly. While it's being fetched, I take a stroll. Back in the other room, a cute robot like Mr. Rogers' trolley arrives with my microfiche. The microfiche is film where each frame is a newspaper page. The librarian shows me how to load the machine and send it flying. I love this so much. I love skimming and slowing down. I love the price of a Greek fisherman's cap. I love this guy. A Sunday newspaper, pre-internet, was an almost magical portal to distant regions and experiences. It was also huge. A Boston Sunday Globe in 1985 cost $1. It was 809 pages long.
Baby, I know